What do you remember feeling first?
Devastation, just like shock. I like could not believe that we lost. We failed to do what we set out to do.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't win. And it was devastating. I mean, you put everything into it. You're this close to moving on. I mean, talk about a game of inches, and now it's a game of millimeters to winning and losing. And we're on a flight home the next day.
Hello and welcome to the US Soccer Podcast. My name is David Gass.
And I'm Meghan Klingenberg.
And this is the show where every week we take you inside the US men's and women's national team at every level.
And before we start, just a PSA for everybody. I hope you really enjoyed part 1 of the Alyssa Naeher podcast. Had so much fun doing it. And today we're coming out with the second part because we could not put it in just one episode.
I will say, listening to that, Kling, one, I want to see that ODP team back on the field because it's basically a World Cup winning squad. And I want to see a redo of the 2003 tournament that they were playing in.
It was actually insane how good we were, and we just had no idea because we're all kids. Nobody knows how good you're gonna be, especially back at that time when there was no scouting there is and no academies. We were just like, oh, these kids are pretty good.
No website, but Alyssa Naeher and yourself both made it to the top. In the first episode, as you mentioned, we talked about the 2015 World Cup being Hope Solo's backup for Alyssa Naeher, and we pick up with her telling Kling what it was like to be the starting goalkeeper at the 2019 World Cup in France.
Alyssa also talks about the agony of losing that penalty shootout, the millimeter ball, if you will, playing Wordle with the next generation of her teammates that are at this point much younger than her, and also her decision to retire from international soccer, something that we got to bond over. All right, let's get into it. "2019, Alyssa Naeher gets her chance. What's your favorite memory from that one?
Favorite memory? I'll never forget walking out for the first game, walking through the tunnel. That was just a moment that you kind of blink and you're like, am I really about to play in a World Cup? And I think that tournament was just so special and incredible for so many different, to play against France in Paris in a quarterfinal game was the loudest stadium I've ever played in. The England game obviously was one of my career-defining moments, which will always be special. But I think that game, the PK, there were so many things that led to that moment that, again, you go back to what's considered success and failure, and it's obviously that was a moment of success, but that moment of success came from so much preparation beforehand.
Sum of all parts.
Yeah. And it was just kind of all led to that moment of execution. And
how many times do you think you've practiced that exact thing? And how many times has it happened in a game?
I've practiced it a lot. It doesn't happen all that often.
Well, I'm glad you practiced a lot.
Practice a lot. A lot of visual, just trying to study, be prepared, whether it's watching film, video, or training it, just all of, you want to get to that moment and not have to think.
Mm-hmm.
All your thinking's done.
Just play
and
flow.
Just let it, everything. And that's always what I said. I always wanted to feel so prepared that I never had any moment that I was like, oh, I wish I'd done a little bit more. And I never felt that in any part of my career. But yeah, that was, and then hearing the final whistle, obviously, and realizing that you're like, oh my gosh, we just did that.
It is a surreal experience too.
Then you find your friends and family and you see them cheering. It's just incredible.
Crazy. It's so surreal because you're 12 years old on Region 1 ODP and we're writing to the federation,
Yeah.
like we're writing to FIFA and being like, we need a U17 World Cup. We want to play in it.
Yeah.
And then to have your dream realized, you're standing there with your friends and
Mhm.
family, you're shaking the hand of the vice president of the United States, and they're telling you how proud they are of you and that you've represented your country well. It's just so surreal. It's just so different. It didn't feel the way that I thought it would feel.
Mhm.
Did it, like, did you have that similar experience?
I think I've talked about this with Becky, honestly. I think,
Sarah Brown?
yeah, my first feeling after was relief. I was like, oh my gosh, it's done. We did it. But there was so much pressure.
Yeah.
There was like internal pressure, external pressure. I think it's always one of the things, like everyone's like, oh, there's, the team's under someone, all these expectations. We have those expectations for ourselves too.
Much
regardless
higher
of
than
what-
everybody
yeah.
else's.
So it's like the external expectations and pressure are one thing, but internally, I mean, we're putting our blood, sweat, and tears into this. Like we have high expectations for ourselves individually and as a team.
Mm-hmm.
So the very first, like I let out this like huge, like, I was like, oh, I think that might have been the first breath I've taken in like 6 weeks.
That feels good.
Yeah. But I think you put so much into it, you just want it to go well.
Yeah.
So the relief was a huge emotion and feeling that I felt. And then you get the joy, then once you're like, you realize what everyone's running around, they've got the bear hugs and everyone's cheering. And it's just this moment of celebration that, like you can't even describe the feeling unless you've experienced it.
I know. It is very different. And I feel like people think that when you win multiple times, like if you're on a good team in NWSL or USA or Champions League, whatever, that it feels the same or it feels like it doesn't feel as good the next time. And that's just not true.
No.
Like it's very different. The journey's different every single time. And I've found that you just can't expect anything. You just cannot expect anything. You don't know what's going to be coming up when you either win or you lose in the final game. It's just a product of everything that you've put into it. And you don't really know what you've put into it till you're standing there and reflecting and being like, oh, wow, that is totally different than before. And I really think that's such an interesting aspect of having a long career, is just having these different moments that you are recognizing, whether it's in finals or whether it's when you're retiring. There's just all these different moments and they feel just so different every time. And I think that's why we always keep coming back.
Yeah. Like you're chasing that euphoria.
Exactly. Yeah. We've talked a lot about winning World Cups. Another win that we have had is equal pay.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
That was pretty cool.
But I want to go before equal pay.
Okay.
Just, can you remember a time where you're like, oh, wow, this feels really unfair and there's nothing that I can do about it?
I think for me, in that whole thing, one of the biggest things that always like rubbed me the wrong way, outside of like not even so much like the salary side of it or the money side of it, it was like the treatment and resources side of it that was so vastly different.
The investment.
That to me was the part that I could never ever wrap my mind around. Was, well, we do the same, like they get to fly first class, we're an economy. They get to stay in 5-star hotels, we're wherever's available. They have a chef or 2 chefs travel with them, or these certain number of massage therapists or like recovery modalities or to do their jobs. To me, that was always more apparent to me, of like, take away all of the other things. Like, we are doing the same job. It'd be like going into an office and it being like different. So I think that to me was always the most glaring of like, that never made sense of like the travel and the resources that were given to one but not the other.
Totally agree. And I feel like we did talk about it a lot.
Mhm.
And there are moments where I remember us talking about it and be like, we just do not get this. And
Mhm.
can you explain to us why this is
Mhm.
happening? And there was never an adequate answer.
Yeah.
And so we just kept asking questions. And I feel like it finally got to the point where the locker room came together and was like,
Mhm.
we want to go for equal
Yeah.
pay. And like, do you remember that time when there was like that solidarity in the locker room?
Mhm.
Was it all in from everybody, or were there moments of doubt?
I would think that there were probably moments of doubt for sure. I think that it was scary because you're about to start this fight that you have no idea where it's going to go. You have no idea the ramifications of what's going to happen. And I
Mhm.
think there were so many different, like for someone like me and other people, my career was just kind of starting.
Mhm.
So whereas some of the older players, if it was going to go poorly, if we were going to get, I mean, the reality is they could have just said, fine, we'll just call in 25 other players. If you're one of the older players, if you're this and that, like, and so now if you were to say that to me at 37, like, yeah,
Let's
I've had a
go.
pretty good career. Like,
Let's go.
all right.
Yeah.
But, 27-year-old me that was just kind of getting my feet wet in all of this was kind of like, I kind of really want to do this for the next little bit of time. Like
And
that part
I
was
feel
really
like that's what they
scary.
play on. That's what they prey on. Sorry, yeah.
100%. So I think that's where I give a lot of credit to our veteran players, our older players of, hey, you guys need to trust us on this one. And they had earned our trust in how they were leading and how they were doing things.
Mhm.
So it was, but yeah, it was scary. I mean, you didn't know anything of how it was going to end. You didn't know what small retaliation, if any, there was going to be.
Or big.
Or big. I mean, it could have ended all of our careers
Mhm.
to do that in a way. Or significantly altered or changed the trajectory of them. So I think that part was really scary.
What did it feel like when the agreement was finally reached? Equal pay was a thing.
It was really cool to see the collective sense of we did this together, of this is something that we fought for, that we committed to, that we stuck by, like as a group, as a team. I thought that part was really special to be able to achieve something like that. I mean, it's a historic moment. It's, very, very incredible to be a part of something like that.
It's definitely one of the proudest moments of my career
Mm-hmm.
was being able to say, hey, we did something much bigger than the sport.
Mm-hmm.
We actually created a fair playing ground,
Mhm.
which was kind of unheard of in sport.
Yeah.
So that was a really interesting, like, parallel path that we were running during
Yeah.
that time that I don't think a lot of people truly understand how many hours and like the work that we put into
Mhm.
it. It was just totally different than any of the things that we had been doing before, too.
Yeah.
We were learning on the fly. We were building the airplane as we were flying
Yeah.
it and just trying to figure out how do we land this sucker.
Yeah.
And that was just such a weird moment. I really want to be able to talk about 2023 World Cup. And I feel like equal pay set up a whole new generation to
Mhm.
play in the 2023 World Cup. And there was really high hopes going into it.
Mhm.
The game against Sweden rolls around. It's round of 16.
Mhm.
It ends tied.
Mhm.
Lena Hurtig steps up to take the penalty kick against you. Can you replay the rest of this moment for me?
Yeah, I mean, I've replayed it in my head a million times. Yeah, she stepped up. It was I knew that I had to make a play because I think we had just, if they scored, they were going to win. I think I knew that obviously going into the shot.
Did you have any idea which way Lena Hurtig took the kicks? Like, had you scouted her?
We scout kind of like whatever information that we can find, like you get different things. Trying to remember, I think she was one, we didn't have a ton of information.
Which makes it interesting for you.
On, yeah. So it's like in some senses it's good or not. Sometimes, like, if you look at like a Marta, for example, somebody that's or like a Pino, someone who's taken 75 PKs alone, you know, you can look at their map of the goal and it's like all over the place. So on the one hand, it's like sometimes if it's somebody that doesn't take them a lot, you're kind of like, well, I've seen them kick too. I'm gonna take my chances. So it's like there's it's just a little bit different, but yeah, she stepped up. She hit it well. She caught it clean. I knew I got a touch to it. Dove a little bit too far past it. I think
you gave her too much credit.
Yeah. Well, I think it was one of those, like, I got, you know, even I got a little antsy because I knew that I had to try to make a play. So I probably left a little bit earlier than I would like to. So I mean, I dove too far and just trying to get as explosive as I could. Got a hand to it, tried to spin back around and, you know, swat the rest of it out, but obviously not quite enough.
And
so
it
that was
literally went over the line by a millimeter. And the referee took kind of a long time to figure out whether that was a goal or not, especially in the age of goal line technology. And as you're standing there, you're going up to the ref and being like, what happened?
Yeah.
Is it in? Is it out? And then she calls it and says, Sweden wins. What do you remember feeling first?
Devastation. Just like shock. I like could not believe that we lost. Because I think it was one of those games too where we'd kind of limped through group stage. And we knew that. Like it's even in 2015, it's not like we had a great group stage of what it was. And we kind of even kept telling like those of us, like the veteran players were like, look, we're okay. Like forget everyone else on the outside. Like, yes, we haven't played our best. We know like our standards are much higher than that. New tournament starts now, knockout stages. Like group stage is done. We got through. Not our prettiest, but we've got time to like, now we can turn it around.
Yep.
And that was kind of the messaging going into it. So one of the most disappointing parts about the loss was I actually felt like we played really well in the game. Sweden was a great team, and it was a great battle. Credit to their goalkeeper who made a number of great saves throughout the game. But it was a great game, and it finally felt like we were playing like ourselves and playing to the level that we knew that we were capable of playing. So to get that cut short and not see where that team could go, that was really hard. But I think it goes back to even what we were talking about before of, you know, failure and success of, yes, we came up short of our goal. So we failed to do what we set out to do. We didn't win. And it was devastating. I mean, you put everything into it. You're this close to moving on. I mean, talk about a game of inches, and now it's a game of millimeters to winning and losing. And we're on a flight home the next day.
And
it's
I
like
just have
crazy.
It is crazy. I just have to ask though, like, as you were talking about that, I was thinking, as a goalkeeper, you live with a lot of what ifs more than any other position. And I think this is important to ask because I think it will help other people process as well. But how do you process a dream being squashed by just millimeters?
I mean, it took a while, and it's something that I mean, even still, like I have the picture saved on my phone, and it'll pop up every once in a while. And
I
I'm
am
just like,
not surprised at all, by the way. That is just such an Alyssa thing to
and
do.
it's just like, it like, you get like a pain in your stomach. You're like, oof,
Mm-hmm.
it just like, it hurts. But I also think that it's motivating too. It's like you're so close to something.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was something that took time for sure. Had to take like, and you replay it in your head so many times. Like if I had just gotten a little bit more of a hand to it, if I had just been, if even on the ground, like if I spin around a little bit faster, if I can get it a little bit higher,
Mm-hmm.
if I can, I mean, where could I
Very
have
important.
made a
Yeah.
little bit of a difference with it? And you could go in circles. But it does get to a point like it's okay to think about and use, but like you got to move on at some point. It's like you can't, if you let it fester and like consume, then obviously that's a unhealthy, dangerous thing too. But I think again, we as a group, like we didn't accomplish what we wanted to. But I do think from perspective of learning and growing, like that was a huge moment
Mm-hmm.
for our team, for the young players on that team, to be able to handle disappointment and devastation. I mean, it's not just disappointing. I mean, it's a devastating thing. And to be able to use that and fuel it and learn from it is also a powerful thing. And it makes it matter. It makes it so that it's a little bit more like it's worth it. You know, you never want to experience those types of like hard losses, but if you can use it, if you can grow from it, then you can make it a positive.
I think it's important that you talk about this because everybody's going to have that moment in their life where it's millimeters. It doesn't matter whether it's on a world stage like it was for you or whether it's in the office or with your family or whatever. And I think it's important people hearing you talk about processing it and coming back from that and finding the joy. And that's also something that is inherently part of the game. There's these really hard parts, but then there's also the joy. And so I wanted to know what still brings you joy in this game.
I think now being the veteran, being the older one, being the more experienced, I think being able to share a lot of my experiences, being able to relay and tell old stories or whatnot to current teammates who are just starting their careers, and if they're willing and wanting to hear and to listen and to learn, that gives me like a different sense of purpose to be able to help bridge into that next generation. There's not many left of us in our generation that are
No.
still going.
I know.
So I think to kind of be a representation of our generation still and be that bridging of, I think the future of the game is going to be incredible, but I still think there's so much that what our generation did, the mentality, how we played, how we, operated. There's so much to learn from that, from all the players that came up through our generation, that if we can sprinkle in a little bit of what we were able to do to find different areas of success and what we learned from our failures, because I think that's just as important to share with these. I mean, you go back to 2016, Kristen Press missing a penalty kick. We come into 2019 and she scores the goal in the semifinal. I think she scored a penalty kick too at one point that, Soph being inches away from missing a penalty in 2023 to bawling out in the Olympics a year later. It's those moments that could so easily kind of like take you down the wrong path as a player, that we all make mistakes. We all experience those moments, and it's when you see then it get flipped and you see then the how the response is, it's like it just makes you so like proud of those players, those people, of like what they were able to use it for. And I think that's if I am able to share not just my story and my experiences, both good and bad, then hopefully the next generation can learn from that. And still, I think it's important. I don't want to take away their experiences because they need to experience them, but to kind of share some of that. I think that's what still gives me the joy of like an extra sense of purpose.
I'm glad that you mentioned the next generation, which I kind of feel like it's their generation now.
Probably.
Like it's there now.
I'm probably like a little bit overstepping into their generation at this point, but
Yeah, you're like the peripheral of their now, which
Yeah,
is kind of
exactly.
weird to say, but this generation, their joy seems to be getting a rise out of you. I feel like they love giving you crap, and you're kind of a tough nut to crack. So,
Yeah.
like, what is it about
they
that?
keep
Like,
telling
what,
me I'm in my soft era.
what does that mean?
I don't know.
Really? They don't tell you; they just say that.
No, I think because I think you can feel, obviously you're closer to the end than the beginning. There's this sense of, I've never wanted to take anything for granted. There are, my whole career, our whole careers, but you never know how long your career is going to be. You never know, it's always so interesting even when and I had to catch myself doing this as a young player too. It's like, oh, well, the next World Cup or the next, and you're like,
Who knows?
who knows? Like so many different things can happen, and those things are never said intentionally, like the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope players have multiple World Cups, multiple Olympics, hundreds of games to their name. But I think it's never taking anything for granted. I think now that it's closer to the end than the beginning, it's like you want to enjoy it a little bit more, I guess.
I just want to know though, like, and I do think that because you are more reserved,
Mhm.
like clearly you're more reserved than I am. But like, I do think that, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I do think that it is harder to earn your trust than mine. Like, I feel
Yeah.
like at the beginning, I'm just like, sure, have my trust. We'll be friends. And Alyssa's more like,
No, you
I
gotta
gotta
earn that.
feel you out first. I gotta see
Yeah.
about this situation.
Yeah.
What does it take to earn Alyssa Naeher's trust? Because we know that the younger generation wants to know.
I don't know that I can like give like a specific. I feel like there's, you just get a sense of people. I would say I'm certainly more on the skeptical side of people, that when it comes to trust, there's people that you have their trust until you lose it.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's people that it's not that you don't have it, but you don't really, or it's not that I distrust you, but I don't really trust you till like you earn that, if that makes sense.
And how do they earn it?
I think just once I know and once I feel, if I can like be myself around you, if I can be comfortable around you, if I know that, you are somebody that I can like rely on. And that to me those are things that I take very seriously. I pride myself and want to be a trustworthy person. I want to be a reliable person. I want to be that person that, if you call me up and you're like, yo, Liz, I'm like, all right, I'll be right there. So I think that it's because that's how I view how I want to be to people. It's like there's also that, like, I would like to, once I can kind of see that in you, then you can tell when it's like the core of people, like who people are.
Yeah, and let me just confirm for everybody watching and listening that Alyssa is reliable. She actually showed up to this interview like at least 5 minutes before me and rearranged her entire schedule to do this. And yeah, she's just such a gem and such a champ. And I really appreciate you being here and doing this. This honestly has been so fun for me. I hope it's been
Yeah, it's been great.
fun for you too. But I just want to end on a few more questions. And
Okay.
I think it's important because we're talking about you. We have to mention 2 World Cups, 115 caps, right?
It's a good question. That's a Hive question.
I think it's 115 caps. How did you come to the decision after this long career with so much success? How did you come to the decision to retire from international football?
It just felt like the right time. I think is probably the easiest way to boil it down and honestly simplify what was a very complicated decision. I think it's funny that, and probably kind of ironic that I was one of the last of our generation to do that, because if you would have asked me a while ago, I probably would have guessed that I would have been the first.
Really? Why?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It was always just, that's always how I felt. Like it took everything like year by year in a lot of ways. And I think playing in 15 and 16, like, were huge goals. Like, you want to make the team.
Mm-hmm.
And once I then got a taste of that, I was like, I kind of want to play in one of these. Like, that would be really cool to get to play in one of these.
Yep.
And so I reset my mind again to, I want to try to, I want to get to 2019, 2020. Then, things get pushed back in 2020. I'm like, well, now the World Cup's not that far away. And I'd gotten hurt, obviously, in the Olympic semifinal.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, dude, I don't really want to end my career like this. Like, I was kind of fully prepared to be done after that, because in my head I was, I got to go to 2, play in one of each, like, incredible. And then I got hurt, and I was like, this is going to leave like a sour taste, like, and I don't want to end like this. Let me try to get healthy. Let me see if I can make a run at 23. And I was like, but I'm not playing in the Olympics. Like, there's no way. Like, I won't last that long. But then 2023 was so devastating. It was just like, you're like,
it's like that has been living rent free in your mind.
You're like, I'm like, whoa, like that was tough. And so it was one of those, I'm like, okay, you know what? And I kind of had this, I still was like fully prepared in 23. I was like, I'm done. I was going to be done from club. I was going to be done from all of it. And I just remember sitting there having this like aha moment, right before going to Krieger's retirement game, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And just like sitting there, drinking my coffee on the Chicago River, and just was like contemplating everything, and just kind of like had this moment of clarity of, you know what? I feel like I am somebody that has been very private over my career. Like, I don't do a lot of interviews. I always was like, I liked staying in the background. And to be fair, it helped me a lot. It helped me stay focused on what, I wanted to do, and like being able to do that. And I actually give a lot of credit and am very thankful for all the outgoing personalities on the team that are able to shoulder so much of that, because it allows me and other people that don't love doing that kind of stuff the ability to kind of be in the back. Exactly. Yeah. Like, I never had to be anybody else, because other people were being exactly who they were. Mm-hmm. And I think that was incredible. And that was great for me. But I had this moment in December, like going into 24, and I knew the team, like with Emma coming in and the players that were coming back. I was like, I really think if I can kind of let my guard down a little bit with the group, if I can be a little bit more
in your soft era.
Yeah. If I can be a little bit more of that like bridge between using my experience and our experiences a lot, and being that voice of our generation, I really felt like I could help that team do something special at the Olympics. And I had no idea at that point too. I also hadn't gotten called into the camp in December, so I was like, I have no idea even if I'm in the mix for this. But it was, new coach, new team, and I was like, you know what? I want to give this a shot, because I think it could be something special. And credit to that team, those young players, for embracing me and making me feel, whether it's as simple as like being part of like the Wordle group chat of the day with with some of the girls, or just like them teasing me, like different things. Like it made me feel like part of the group and not feel so scary, not feel like it was this thing. And they were also just so great and open to asking a lot of questions. And it was great, like having Lynn there, having Crystal there, just having those experienced players as well. And it was such a special summer. And I was talking to Trent about it when we played DC a couple weeks ago, and we were just like, can't even really believe that happened. Like it was just like such a special group of players to be a part of and a team to be a part of. So then when that ended, when we won, I felt complete in a lot of ways as well. And I felt like I had exceeded any and all expectations of what I had for myself going into my career. And I had accomplished and done everything that I had set out to do. I wanted to play in World Cups. I wanted to win. I wanted to play in Olympics. I wanted to win. I wanted to get to 100 caps. I wanted to get those milestones and those goals, both individually and as a team. And I, in a lot of ways, just like felt complete in that. And also with it being, I mean, you know as well as I do, the international count, everything's cyclical. So knowing then that it was going to be another 3 or 4 year cycle starting, it just felt like the right time. I knew that I wanted to try to finish out the calendar year and be able to play out, the fall and be able to have that. So I had the conversation with Emma in October at that camp, and credit to her and very thankful for her. She could have been like, okay, great, thanks. But she allowed me to still come in November. And I was like, I'd really love to finish out the year. This is what I think I'm going to do. I feel good about it. I feel at peace with it, but I would love to play out the year with the team. And fortunately she was totally on board and let me do that. But yeah, it felt like the right time. I mean, bodies are getting older. I think what people don't understand too, and even for myself, I know it feels like a hard exterior a lot, but I think part of that comes from there are a lot of nerves, there are a lot of anxiety, there is a lot that goes into. So some of that, like it's, for me with who I am, the personality that I have, like I needed such laser focus to be able to feel like I was prepared to do what I needed to do, and almost in like a crazy intense way, which takes a lot out of you. And for me, even I was like, I don't think mentally for 3-4 more years I can do that. And if I don't see myself being able to compete for a World Cup spot, then we've got such a great young crop of goalkeepers coming up. Like it's their time. And it's also it's not lost on me that it's unique to get to choose.
Very.
And I think that was important to me in that moment. I had this moment of clarity of like, this is my choice, which I think is hard when a lot of incredible players don't get to choose when their careers end.
I think
and
99% of players don't get to choose.
Completely agree.
You are a fairy tale ending for a reason, because it's a fairy tale.
And it's not and it is not lost on me that is unique and very special, and I'm very, very grateful for that, because I have seen the end of a lot of careers over the years, and it's hard. I mean, it's hard. I mean, you put so much into it, and there's a time for everything, and every good thing does come to an end. But I think in that moment as well, to be able to have like the clarity of, I get to choose this, and not everybody gets to.
And not everybody chooses when they do have the choice.
Yeah, that's true. But I think that was a part of it as well, that felt good to me as well. And I kind of and again, the timing of it made sense too. The timing of it, age-wise, where we were in the cycle, new generation, new coaches, new kind of And I think what made my career so special was the teammates that I got to do it with.
Mm-hmm.
And as much respect and as much as I love so many of these younger players, like it's their generation now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. That's how it's supposed to be. It's like
Mhm.
our job as what we learned from the generation before us. I hope that they take what we were able to do and run with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that being able to kind of pass the torch to such an incredibly talented group of players and now just get to sit back and watch them play and compete is fun.
It is really cool. And I will say, though, like coming back to you, I am really proud of your career.
Thank you.
And it has been so fun to be at least a little part, like along the way on your journey. And it feels really special to be able to say that about, honestly, a lot of
Yeah.
Region 1 ODP players.
Yeah, we were very fortunate. We
I
had
know,
such
it's
incredible teammates the
kind
whole
of
way
weird,
through.
and honestly, we were delusional, but in the best way possible.
Yeah.
And like, actually, were we
Yeah.
delusional? Because it all came true.
Yeah.
So I don't
Well,
actually think we
and-
were.
Well, and truthfully, I think that's what, even talking about the decision to be done is I was so grateful for the friendships and like all of that we had and being able to do what we did for 10 years. And again, it's all about who you get to go on this journey with
Mhm.
and like mixing of all of that. And we had such incredible people alongside of us the whole way through. That was what was also really cool to me was in 2024 to start to see a lot of like those friendships and those forming. Like at times I would sit back and I'm like, that was me and my group, like that was me and my teams. And like that made me really happy to see, this group of players always going out to get dinner together or go to get coffee. And
Yeah.
I guess now the big thing is they don't even go out and they just order coffee in and just sit in the hotel. But it was like, that was also always put a smile on my face because I have such great memories of, the soccer part was cool, but the off the field memories, the dinners, the coffees, the shoppings, the travel, everything else that we got to do while we were having this incredible experience and
Yeah.
getting to do all that, to start to see that and know what's to come for them and like what can come for them also just made me so, so happy. And I was like, it's time.
We're good.
They are ready.
I love this for you. Oh, wait. Do you know also that they have a barista now?
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't.
We
get
did
a
not.
barista,
I liked
so.
going out to get coffee though. It was good for me.
Like, I would have liked to have a barista in the morning and then gone out in the afternoon.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, it would have been really nice to have.
Regardless, we're happy you have a barista.
Yes.
You're welcome. Just kidding. But okay, so I recently retired,
Mm-hmm.
and we have, as we've been talking about, been on this journey together for a really long time. You've known me since I was 12. I want to know what you think my next act should be.
Good question. I think that your next act, I could see you going one of two different paths. I could see you going like the media side of things, not in like a reporter media, but like the talking media.
Yeah.
Whether it's sideline or broadcast or things like that, I think you have an incredible knowledge and you can bring your experience to it. I love listening to former players on things like that just because there's such a unique experience that comes from having played at such a high level. So I could definitely see you doing that. I also could see you coaching. I don't know that you have the patience for it.
Oh my gosh.
You might start yelling at a lot of people, but
I will say I
But
don't yell as much anymore.
you have calmed down a little bit. But no, I could see, again, like you have a great soccer mind, and however you choose to use that, I definitely see you staying in the game
Oh,
in
so
some
you see
way.
me staying in
I do.
sport, okay.
I do, in some capacity.
I mean, it's so fun.
Bank of America is proud to be the official bank of U.S. soccer, driving a positive impact in the game and in communities all across the country, helping turn possibilities into achievements and lifting fans, stadiums, and cities to their feet. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America, official bank of U.S. soccer. Bank of America, N.A., member FDIC.
Okay, we're going to end here. I don't want to take up
Okay.
any more of your precious, valuable time, although now you have much more of it since you've retired from international football. Believe me, I know. And I want to end here.
Okay.
You touched on it a little bit before, but what are you most proud of in your soccer career?
I am probably most proud of the longevity, if that makes sense. I think, again, even like all jokes aside about starting, like I got sent home from one of my first senior national team camps right before a qualifying tournament because I wasn't good enough distribution. I couldn't play with my feet. That was their big criticism of me in 2010. This is kind of right when the game was kind of first changing, when goalkeepers are starting to play a little bit more. And that was the feedback that I was given. It was, the other goalkeepers are further along than you. And I think now that's one of the stronger parts of my game, to be able to, I'm not quite now, this next generation is even more.
Yeah, they're
basically
doing
like
tiki-taka in the box.
Yeah, I'm not going to get that
I
crazy.
do not want to have a heart rate right now.
Not going to get that crazy, never will. But I do think, like, even to be able to feel comfortable going onto a field, right foot, left foot, just different things, and not, I've put a lot of time into that part of my game. So I think longevity, to go through, it would have been really easy to stop at the beginning when things were hard, when the league was folding, was in and out with the national team, could have just been, and I thought about being done a number of times, and getting cut from a lot of teams early on, and just being like right on the cusp for so long, and waiting for so long, and to kind of stick it out and get to now to this point where I got to walk away from it. I got the opportunity to play in 3 World Cups and 3 Olympics, and over the course of 12 years, have so many incredible moments and teammates and coaches, and to play for 4 different coaches or 4 different coaching cycles, and to be able to continue to be part of that group. It's really, coaches have their styles, coaches have this and that, teams evolve. So for me, my proudest thing, the thing I'm most proud of in my career, is just being able to sustain the level, and to be able to grow with the game and the longevity of the career.
It's something that is really difficult, and we see certain players have these spurts of brilliance, and then they kind of fall off because it's just so hard to continue having that laser focus and showing up every day and giving 100%. And that's such a credit to you and your career. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks
it
for
has
coming
been
in.
a joy to be a part of your journey, if
Yeah.
only a small part.
A big part.
But
Big
it's
part.
also been so much fun talking to you about your journey and hearing it in your own words, because I feel like I've now even learned
Yeah.
more about you that I didn't know, and I already knew a lot.
A lot, yeah.
I did, and it's just so fun to have you on the show and have this full circle moment with you. So thanks for being here,
Thanks.
and we're so excited to see what you do next, and we're wishing you the very best with the Stars this year.
Thank you.
Wrap it!
Check engine, ABS, or maintenance light on? And O'Reilly Auto Parts is right around the corner. O'Reilly Auto Parts can help take the guesswork out of your vehicle's check engine, ABS, or maintenance light with O'Reilly Veriscan, a free service that only takes a couple of minutes to complete. You'll receive a free, easy-to-read report with solutions based on over 650 million vehicle scans that have been verified by ASE-certified master technicians. O'Reilly Veriscan can identify the most likely problem with just one scan. The professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts can then recommend the parts and tools that you need to do the repair right the first time. And if you're not comfortable doing the repair yourself, they can recommend a local shop for you. Don't ignore check engine, ABS, or maintenance light.
Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today, a free service exclusively at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Wow, awesome stuff there from Alyssa Naeher, and thank you to Kling for going and sitting with one of her oldest friends and chatting all those big topics. We have more to talk about in this show, but before we get there, don't forget, USMNT fans, you've got another big game, and this one's coming to you in Tampa. The U.S. men's national team is taking on two-time World Cup winner Uruguay, one of the gigantes of South America, in a match presented by New York Life on November 18th. So don't miss the energy at Raymond James Stadium this fall. Grab your tickets today at ussoccer.com/tickets. And there's something else you won't want to miss, and I'm holding a big one in my hands. If you're looking for a one-of-a-kind way to leave your mark on the future of U.S. soccer, join the U.S. Soccer Brick Program and engrave your legacy at the new Arthur M. Blank U.S. Soccer National Training Center. When you order a personalized brick, your message will be permanently placed in the Yazdani Family Plaza at the entrance of our new home in Atlanta, and you'll also receive a complimentary replica brick shipped to your home or office. Every brick order directly supports the construction and maintenance of U.S. Soccer's new home and is considered a tax-deductible donation to the extent allowed by the law. Do not wait. Order your personalized brick by December 31st to ensure it's installed by the opening of our new home. Secure your spot in U.S. Soccer's history today by visiting ussoccerbricks.com. And myself and Meghan Klingenberg are holding our bricks right now. They are hefty, Kling, and we are forever ingrained into U.S. soccer history. I think by winning the World Cup, you maybe already potentially were, but now it's physical.
Is this like my star on the Walk of Fame, but
Yes.
now it's in...
Yes, it is our U.S. Soccer Stars on the Walk of Fame, and I absolutely love it. For anyone listening to the podcast, we are holding up our physical bricks, which were sent to us. You can go watch on YouTube, and you can see these, but it is a really cool initiative that is coming with this new training center. And Kling, I know you experienced it, right? Being part of U.S. Soccer, it's really cool that it has this ability to move around everywhere, but it was a bit transient. There was no home for U.S. Soccer physically, for every training center, for grounds. You know, we're going to have youth camps, refereeing programs, all of the extended national teams that we've talked about with the deaf national team, beach soccer, all of that will be in Atlanta. And to have a chance to be a part of that in your own way and to help build the building physically, brick by brick, is pretty cool.
It is. We were like a traveling circus, and I feel like this gives us kind of a home. And so, I think that I need to take this brick down to Atlanta because I'm not sure why my brick is here and not on the
because
Walk of
when
Fame, you know what I'm saying?
order your brick, you get a replica version sent to you so that people can show it in their offices, at their homes, so that everyone in the world knows that you're a part of this club that very few people will get to be a part of. And as I said, you got to get it in by December 31st if you want it to be laid down when it opens. Mauricio Pochettino and Emma Hayes have talked about how big this training ground is going to be for the future of U.S. soccer, and you can be a part of that if you go get your bricks. So reminder, go to ussoccerbricks.com. Kling, you had a great interview with Alyssa. Clearly, you guys are fairly close. I want to ask you, what is your favorite memory of playing with Alyssa Naeher?
Ooh. Okay, when I heard that this was going to be the question, I had to like spin through my Rolodex and be like, what is it? What is it? But truly, I feel like one of my favorite times was off the field. There was this one camp we were at. I have no idea where it was. I don't remember what
Traveling
year. Yeah, it all blends and mixes together. But we ended up getting this like mini basketball hoop, and it was like something we just put above the door.
And Alyssa famously, as she said in the first part of the interview, elite basketball player from Connecticut.
She is elite. So I was like John Stockton, and she was the like Michael Jordan or whatever, whoever's really great at LeBron. And I was just throwing it up there, alley-ooping her, and she was throwing it down.
Love
I was
that.
giving it to her behind the back. I was like, you know, I was feeling myself, and I wasn't doing any of the dunking, but we had so much fun. And I think for me, it's always just about the times that we get to connect off the field, the times that we can get to connect and really see each other. Like, and get to know each other on a more fun, deeper level. And those were always my favorite times with any of my teammates. And I think that we commemorated that even with like maybe a few photos and videos. And I'm gonna have to scroll back through and see if
Yes.
I have any.
Get deep into the album archives. I want to see some Alyssa Naeher highlight dunks. I want to see her saving every one of your passes from being almost a turnover into the dunk. It was awesome to hear her talk. It was awesome to see her celebrated in her home state for the big game. And of course, the U.S. women's national team continuing to put some strong performances out there on the field as we continue to see the next generation of players start to take over. We talked about that last week in our Ask the Pros segment, and now we're back to our Ask the Pros sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts. This is where you can ask questions for myself, Kling, or Ali Bedoya, and we'll get back to you and answer it on the show. We start in your neck of the woods, Kling. Grace from Brooklyn says the U.S. women's national team has faced intense scrutiny and pressure. How did you manage the mental and emotional demands of representing the team during high-stakes matches like the Olympics or World Cup?
Great question. I do think that pressure is all internal, regardless of how much media is scrutinizing you and the team, regardless of the expectations that people have for you based on being a favorite of a tournament. All of the pressure comes from within. And I only realized that a bit later in my career, and definitely was the type of person who let it get to me when I was younger and would get super nervous and anxious and just wasn't eating before matches or just was not being able to sleep. And then as I've gotten older, I realized that all of that pressure was coming from within. That's the only place where it can come from. So started working through that and figuring out, what does it look like? What does success look like to me on the field, as opposed to just winning or losing? Because you could have the best game in your entire life and you could still lose a soccer match. That is just the way that the ball rolls sometimes. And I had to figure out, why is this worth it to me? What am I doing here? Why is this important to me, not everybody else? And that was a really interesting long journey where I feel like we could probably make an entire podcast just about that.
One of the things I wanted to follow up with that, though, is I feel like, I've covered sports very heavily, and some of the work I've done is a bit intense, not as intense. There's this camaraderie that's created in these pressure moments. And like one of the athletes I always find fascinated by is tennis players. Tennis players always talk about their team. They're an individual on the court, but they like to think of themselves as a group, right? Their coach, their family, their friends. And I think it's to try and get rid of some of the isolation. How important is the team from a social point of view in those experiences? And we hear you with Alyssa, like how much does that embolden or entrench your friendships for the rest of your life?
It's huge. And I think we've talked about this earlier on one of the episodes, is how when the World Cup team finally gets named, it totally
Right.
comes together and becomes this unbreakable group of competitive fire and get the hell out of our way. And when you have those people around you who have been working just as hard as you, just as long as you, are just as committed, it definitely creates this bubble that you get to live in. So we're encouraging everybody not to look at the media, not to talk to outsiders about what the team's looking like. It's, really doesn't matter what they think or feel. It really only matters at the end of the day how we're doing and then how we're performing and what it looks like at the end of the tournament. So being able to rely on each other, create a bubble where we're not having anybody get inside that bubble is pretty important.
All right, let's go to me. We've got Alex in Kansas City, one of my favorite cities, a World Cup host city. I was there for the NWSL Championship at CPKC Stadium. We're going to be watching some NWSL playoff games guaranteed there as well. It's one of the best places in the United States. If you haven't traveled there for a soccer game, men's or women's, you should go next season. Or if there's another national team game there after this U.S. women's New Zealand game. And the question is, as a broadcaster, how do you balance objectivity with the passion and excitement that fans expect, especially during intense moments like MLS Cup playoffs? I think as a broadcaster in these games, in these moments, you're part of the experience, and the athletes want to put on a show, and the broadcasters do. You don't want to be the center of the show. You want to enhance what's happening. And if the product is exciting. The enhancement is being excited about it. And there isn't like a moment for broadcasters where it's like, you have to stay calm and you have to be level-headed. You want to be professional in the way you present and the experience people have by listening to you, but you love the sport. That's why you do what you do. It's the same conversation we have, with referees. Referees are like, I love soccer. Why else would I do this? Like, I watch it, I talk about it, I live it. It's the same for us. And so it's not hard to generate excitement when big moments happen because you're in it just the same. The balance between rooting for teams and not rooting for teams, that changes based off your role. Like, are you a home broadcast? Are you a neutral broadcast? What I always say is if you are a home broadcast, which means you're broadcasting to one specific team, one market, or you're hired by the team, the only bias I ever try and bring into that is just more focus on that team. I don't ever like to say us or we, or that there's a deserving or not deserving. It's just, okay, you'll be a little bit more knowledgeable about that team. Maybe you'll use more quotes from their coaches because you've talked to them more often. But no matter what, I think every fan walks away wanting to feel the energy, excitement, and importance of a moment. I mean, we're coming out of this 18-inning World Series game. And if you're broadcasting that game, if you don't love it, you can't get through 18 innings and you can't be ready for it. But who cares who wins between that? Like, you're lucky enough to just be around a moment like that. And I think that's how many of the broadcasters feel who are in all of these. If you have a question, though, similar to Grace and Alex, you can ask the pros as well. Drop our partners at Westwood One a DM on Instagram at Westwood One Sports. And we'll see you next week on the U.S. Soccer Podcast for another huge interview. This time, it's with another of Kling's former teammates. This one from the club side as well. Portland Thorns and U.S. Women's National Team star Sam Coffey coming off her goal in Hartford, Connecticut. So follow us wherever you get your podcasts, subscribe on YouTube, and never miss an episode.
Wrap it.